Okay, so I'm just gonna do this video right quick for you guys. Now, I've been watching, from a distance, this whole Hidden History Museum. Now, those who are familiar with this platform know that, we have done a couple of videos at least on FBA and just really, trying to hear their side of it and also hearing it from the side of those who are not necessarily pro FBA, meaning this is a select group that identifies themselves as foundational Black Americans. Okay. And when you actually listen to what they put out, okay, when you actually listen to what they put out, they make it very clear that in many ways they are not African. Okay. In many ways. Now, there's some people, right, what I just said, will take issues with that and say, no, that's not true, because we're all from Africa at the end of the day. All people come from Africa. So no, that what you just said isn't true. But no, when you listen to what has been posted, and that's what I challenge people to do, that go on social media and I want you to listen to the actual rhetoric coming from not just the people that identify themselves as FBA under those letters, but also coming from Tariq Nasheed himself. He has made many remarks, disparaging remarks, when it comes to people coming from different countries and things like that over the past, ever since he started this whole FBA thing. All right. Now, prior to that, it wasn't so much the case. I mean, he was very much, very Pan-Africanist and all that other stuff, right? But now all of a sudden he's kind of taken this turn, and now all of a sudden, immigrants and all of this, he has some very choice words for it now. And then the other thing people will say is, well, it's immigrants have a lot of things to say about Black Americans as well, which is very, very true. And that's very true. That can't be erased. That can't be minimized. It's absolutely true. However, do you fight fire with fire in this particular case? Does that represent the whole of immigrants? No. Just like FBA doesn't represent the whole of African Americans or Black Americans. It does not. As much as they may want to try, it doesn't. So you have to look at it evenly, with just like that on both sides. But this specific group who identifies themselves as foundational Black Americans have made it very clear in their own language that they have a disdain for people who come from other countries. I mean, particularly people who are Black. And they make it very clear. So I found it very strange. Someone brought this to my attention. I just could not believe it, because again, when they were pumping up the whole museum, this was going to be a museum, that basically was going to celebrate the achievements of foundational Black Americans in this country. And okay, that's on the cover. That sounds good. But like I said, when you listen to what is coming from the FBA people themselves, this was going to be a Black American museum, not one of African origin. Okay, so they made that very clear what they wanted, made it extremely clear. And so with that being said, so this is the website. We're looking at the website right now. This is the current website. They just had the grand opening. So you scroll through it and you see they had like Vivica Fox. They had other people there and all of that, right? So there you go. So this is all it. This is the actual website. I'm just showing you, just so you understand, this is not something I made up, on some app or anything like that. This is the actual website. Okay. So I'm just scroll through it one more time so you can see it for yourself. Now, here's where it begins to get interesting. Now, with everything I just said at the beginning of this video, you would think, okay, this is going to be a website, or this is going to be a museum that is all about Black Americans' achievement, excluding the African American, or rather the African connection. All right. So, but here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Wayback Machine. All right. And the Wayback Machine, let me pull that up right now, is a website that you can go to if you want to see earlier versions of a website. You just go here, type in the address, right, which I typed in, the Hidden History Museum, and boom, there you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the January 1st version of this page. All right. So as you can see, January the 1st, 2023. It was taken at 6:23:02. All right, so let's go ahead and click on it and let's see what we come up with. Oh, I got to click. Okay, click right here. And it usually takes a minute here to load up. All right, well, here we go. All right, so this is the same page. What we're looking at is the January version of it. All right. Okay. All right, so this is the banner that they used. All right, let's scroll down here. It'll take some time for the other part to load up. But this is the banner that was used for the Hidden History Museum webpage. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm like, everything I see here is African. Like everything here. I mean, everything here is African. These aren't foundational Black American statues. That isn't a foundational Black American painting. These right here are not foundational Black images of foundational Black Americans. These are certainly not foundational Black American drums. Everything that you see on this page is African. So the irony of this, I just find to be quite interesting here. I mean, it's really interesting, but it gets even stranger as you move on here. So yeah, so the whole website is loaded. So again, just showing you just so you can see. So I just find this to be very ironic that you would, at the end of the day, no matter how much rhetoric you may say about Africans and talk about their living conditions and all that other stuff and how they smell, you're still using African artifacts to draw people's attention to your museum and to collect money. Well, anyway, so then the next question came to my mind was, well, where did this image come from? Because in January, the museum wasn't even built. I mean, it was built, but it wasn't converted over to a museum at that time because he still had tenants in there. All right, and that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so what I did was I did a reverse image search. Come to find out, the image that he used wasn't from the Hidden History Museum. Instead, it was from the African Museum in Madrid, Spain. So he went to Spain, or actually he went to their website, or maybe just found it online somewhere. Grabbed a picture that originated from the African Museum of Spain and used it as the banner of his Hidden History Museum. The irony of ironies of ironies is quite something. And I tell you what this does, it makes it very clear that, we have various groups out here that want to distance themselves from being of African origin. We can go down the list of different groups here, which I'm not going to do right now, but FBA is certainly one of them. And at the end of the day, no matter how hard you try to separate yourself from the continent, you always end up back at the continent. Isn't that something? So family, I mean, this is why we tell people, whatever it is that people put out here, always ask questions. Don't just jump into things just because, really ask questions, investigate. I hate seeing these stuff like this come up and seeing our people getting swept up in things because they didn't even bother to investigate. And, this is just the irony of irony. So anyway, I'm done, family. I just don't know what else to say. All right, listen, you guys take care and talk to you again soon.